Hello, hello, BookTube. This is the Scholar Gentleman. I've been having this book sitting on the stairs for eons, for like about a week now, meaning to do a video. So here I am, The Legend of Bagger Vance by Stephen Pressfield. To be honest, I wouldn't have read this book because I'm not into sports and I'm not into golf generally. Except I read it for the strength of Stephen Pressfield, and he wrote something called The War of Art, which if you're a creative type and you feel yourself dragging your feet about any creative endeavor, like whether it be writing, painting, whatever, read that book. It'll basically give you a kick up the ass to get writing, do your stuff. So I read this book, and it's I guess if you're a golf aficionado or a devotee of the sport, and I know a couple of good friends who were, then golf has this sort of a pseudo. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say pseudo divine status, almost like a guru type. Basically you're searching through the truth for your sport, and you could say this to any sport like football, basketball. There are millions of self-help athlete books written devoted to being in the zone and picturing success, but golf has especially been lends itself to that whole sort of philosophical mindset. And I have two good friends. I've never played myself. I have walked with them on golf courses in Scotland, Cruden Bay, Newborough upon Ithyn, simple courses like Hazelhead near Aberdeen, Scotland. To see them play, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the game. And Legend of Bagger Vance is basically a person. How do I put this? Bagger Vance himself is almost like a Gandalf character in this book. He helps the main character in the book, I guess, relearn the game, find himself, almost forget that he's playing a game, and just be his best self. How every golf swing has infinite possibilities. It goes right down to quantum theory and how all outcomes are possible. It's very cerebral, I have to say. And as you can see, I've earmarked quite a few parts in this book. And I have to say, while I'm not into golf, I find myself whipping along to find out what happened next, because you have two real-life golfers in there. I don't know their names because I don't know sports. One's kind of a cocky sportsman, the other one's kind of like a corn-fed country yokel type. It's shy, but very professional, but also very good. And the local that they're playing for, I guess it's all for charity, the local that they're also playing was once a legend, and now he's not a legend, has to be brought back into the game, and Bagger Vance does that. And how he does it, it's almost mystical in a way. Sometimes I felt like I was reading Lord of the Rings, reading Lord of the Rings or some kind of a book. It does teeter on the edge of magical realism, if I'm basically classifying magical realism correctly. But yeah, you have altered states of mind in here. That Bagger Vance could touch your shoulder, and suddenly you end up seeing the world as it really is, etc. So on. Lines of force, and that's the world that a serious golfer lives in. That kind of thing. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I read it. It made me understand that divine philosophy that the game seems to generate and attract. Because you can go to any bookstore and see like books of shelves of books groaning under the whole seeking the truth on the golf, seeking the truth through 18 holes and that kind of thing. I respect the game enough not to like completely disrespect that, to completely write that off, but because I've seen like how it bonds. I've seen how the game brings people together. I've seen how it's just a good time, a good walk, really. And of course, I've heard that the old saying, "Golf is a good game. Golf is a good walk spoiled." A game of golf is a good walk spoiled. I guess that's how you put it. But anyway, I'm glad I read the book. But more importantly, I'm also glad I read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. A lot of what he talks about, like basically the pseudo mystical nature of the creative mindset, comes through in this book. So if you liked one, read the other. you'll probably get something out of it. I'm glad I did. In the meantime, this is the Scholar Gentleman signing off from my disaster of a spare book room I call the Zero Room. Take care.